That's it. Okay,
Yeah,
looks like we're underway here. So how
ready
you
to
been? You
rumble.
been good?
Yeah, I've been good. Busy, but
Busy.
no, I think like everyone at the moment with the current industry and all the little bits
Oh,
of uncertainty. So we've had some, I think like every business, some struggles in the last 2 years, but we're making headway, so that's good. Um, and then
yeah.
yeah, home life's been good. Youngest got married a year ago, so that's
Yeah, well done.
nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got apparently they got a 5-year plan for grandkids, so we're about 4 years off having grandkids. Apparently, so that's
Rightio.
cool. Unless they have an accident, please.
Yeah.
Um,
As long as you're part of the
but
plan, that's the main thing.
yeah, that's the yeah. We're still involved. We're being told that we have to wait. That's the downside.
Yeah, right.
Um, but yeah, everything else is good. How's your world?
Yeah, pretty good. It's obviously, a lot of the stuff like you say, the things that are going on in the world and just crazy, man. Like just to think how things can change so quickly.
Yeah.
And just obviously the fuel prices is the number one focus for everybody. And
Yes.
I saw somebody say it the other day, just it goes up like a rocket and it falls like a feather.
Yes. Yeah.
But
That's in a
it's
really
so
windy cabin.
yeah, exactly. But so unpredictable, eh? Just
Yeah.
you know, oh well, for the average day person, like it's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
For
You
you
just
and
don't
I, we're
know,
we're at the end of the tail. So we don't
yeah,
know where it's flicking or
or
doing
what's
what it
going
needs to
on.
do.
And that's the other crazy thing, man. Eh? Like social media or the media and
Yeah.
and what the things that you get given to basically consume and
Yes.
obviously with media, with journalism, it all has its own lean as well.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I don't know.
Well, I found it
I
interesting how quiet it's gotten. Now that there
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be the potential catastrophe
Yeah.
for Australia, all of a sudden everyone's gone quiet. Now fuel's dropped off, like pricing wise, which then you
Mm,
go, oh, who was policing that? Because
yeah.
if it hasn't changed our supply and we're still getting it, and how did it jump by? Anyway, that's for someone at a higher ranking than me to follow
Yeah.
up.
That's right.
So
Someone
just
with more
smile on
money and
my
more
yeah. So
responsibility and
more
yeah,
responsibility, more
100%.
influence, and so
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, no, crazy times, man. But yeah, I think today I contacted you a week
Last week.
ago,
Yeah,
last
yeah.
week or whatever, and I just wanted to just thought, oh man, I should touch base with you because it's probably been about a year since we did our last podcast. Maybe I don't
You
know.
know what? It's probably 2 years, but
Is it 2 years? Oh, actually, you're right.
time
It
is
actually is
flying.
2 years. Man, it
Yeah.
is. It's cruising. But well, I guess maybe just to bring people up to speed with how we know each other. Obviously,
Yeah.
grew up together, and you know, um, a lot of things that we went through. Upbringing through school, through our church, through football, through community, obviously. So,
Mm.
known each other a long time. Obviously,
Yes.
before the roles we're in at the moment, obviously business and
Yeah.
leadership and family and potentially becoming grandparents. Oh man, I can't believe that. That's
Oh,
crazy. But
I'm trying to embrace it.
I had a question about that. If
Yeah.
and this may be a bit of a reflective thing.
Mm.
If someone knew you in school and they met you today, what would you say changed the most, or what do you think they would pick out that's changed the most about you?
Oh man. That's a great question. Well, if I met someone today that knew me in high school and we hadn't
Yeah,
seen, what would they say has changed? I would hope that a lot of my core values are the same and what they saw me focus on are the same.
yeah,
I think the things that have shifted, and you hope that it shifts for everyone, is that maturity and that emotional
mm,
maturity. I know that when I was younger, I was very black and white. There is no gray area.
yeah,
If someone stuffs up, they stuffed up, and they need to. That's just they're eating their own results. It's like
yeah,
that's the way the cookie crumbles, sort of thing. And then as life goes on, and you witness better people than yourself make big mistakes, you witness or walk through times where things shift that are out of the actual individual's control. Uh, and then I suppose yeah, you start to realize I don't know as much as I thought I did. Like I think
Mm.
I often tell a story of heading when I would have been 10 years married and we're 28 and a bit years now, but
Yep.
10 years married, sitting on a plane with some older couple that were 50 plus years married. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. Let me tell you what's some. I
Oh,
was
that's
like,
hilarious.
so I spent the hour and a bit talking to them about how they could have a
Man,
better marriage.
that's
And
crazy.
I look back on it, and as soon as I got off the plane, I felt this like conviction or this prompting to go, you idiot. You just you had a moment to sit with two seasoned professionals in the realm that you want to succeed in, and you didn't ask them one question. And so I would hope that that's one of the things that's shifted
Yeah,
is I'm always keen to now and trying to train myself to be more why are you thinking that, or why are you in that position? Because I've learned over the years I can have what I've experienced and I know me, so my understanding of me, and then what I use to get out of that trouble or to go through that tough time or whatever.
yeah,
So I can see someone go through a similar challenge and just immediately offer them my solution
yeah,
without any understanding. And the understanding is what gives you actual power to help people. If I don't
yeah,
understand, like we look at a broad subject like domestic violence and
yeah,
homelessness or whatever, any of those sort of things, I could really tunnel vision and go, well, you just need to do this, this, and this. But each individual has a story. Each
that's
individual has a different background,
yeah,
fear, example,
yeah, 100%.
self, even their self belief to be able to get out of certain situations. So it's like if
Yeah,
I don't understand that, I can't meet them where they're at and help them. So I would hope that's been one of the changes.
yeah. That's really good. Some
Yeah,
couple of really good points that you just made, like just especially around, I think being a young guy
yeah,
and or teenager coming, adulthood, 18 to 20 or whatever.
yeah,
Even early 20s, I was the same, man. Just so just very opinionated, which is, you think you know everything, man, and you really know nothing. Like
yeah,
I shouldn't say, and this is, you know, for the young guys listening, if you are in that age bracket,
yeah,
I'm not trying to, put you down. It's just more to say, if you enter a room, and I think Jordan Peterson says this too.
yeah.
If you enter that room considering the other people in that room might know something you don't know, and that
Mm,
you might need to know what they know. You
yeah.
don't need to speak. You don't need to be telling people this is how it is, and when reality you've only been on the earth less than 25 years or whatever. So I think there's some pretty important,
I
valid
think it's an
points.
insecure. I think what I would think or hope that has changed the most is I'm more secure in me.
Yeah,
And so that's taught me again, like what you're saying, why I wouldn't have come into a room and wanted to know and glean from someone else is because I thought I had to prove to other people
yeah, true.
that I knew stuff. And so I would go out of my way to tell someone what I know because I wanted their affirmation of like, you know what, you're doing really well. That's a great
Yeah,
thing you're doing. You know a lot about that subject. Uh, as you get more secure, I don't
yeah,
need to prove anything to them. I try and prove stuff to God, and I will try and prove stuff to my wife.
yeah,
Outside of that, it's like I don't really need anyone else's. I like affirmation. Don't get me wrong. I
yeah,
like that sort of stuff, but I've learnt that I don't need it,
yeah,
and that's changed. And I learnt that
yeah,
I had a hole there. I suppose that's
yeah,
another part. Most people don't realize that they've got fears in any area, and so they never address it because they're not aware that it's there, and you can't fix what you
yeah.
don't know is there.
No, 100%, man. Like that, and I think that's especially with some of the work I've been doing over the years
Mm.
with young teenage, especially boys, but
Yeah.
teenage, and I think there is that research that talks about the age of 16 is where most cultures around the planet they do rites of passage for boys
Yes. Yeah.
because the boys don't get that physical change in their bodies where they get a monthly
Mm.
responsibility.
Yes.
We have to learn responsibility. We have, and
Yeah.
we're slower. on the uptake, of what that
Yep.
responsibility
Yep.
means. And I think maybe that's a thing, Ryan, as well, like within a Western society. And I shared a video the other day by Simon Sinek around
Mm.
performance versus trust. And, he spoke it ages ago, but it just
Yep.
rings so true all the
Yeah.
time. Just around how we have these metrics for measuring performance, measuring
Yes.
aptitude, measuring academia, measuring the things that a Western world would classify as important for you to move forward in society, whereas in your non-Western cultures, and I'm not just talking about black people, I'm talking about
No.
like the 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 Brits used to, the Scottish used to do this, the
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Vikings did this. They took their boys through a process of affirmation, but also
Yeah.
the process of responsibility, and not having things done for them,
Yes.
as well is that. And like, I even, back in Bible times, like, or even,
Mm.
you could even say it now within a lot of village life around the world. Young boys are getting married at 15, 16. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Wow. Yeah.
I think even
Whereas in our Western culture, it's like if you're married before 30, what are you doing? You haven't. And it's like, man, by then you're very ingrained in your own selfish
yeah,
desires. It's very hard to integrate with someone else and become one when you've built your own silo of living and everything you've done to that point has been for you. And
yeah,
so if you don't
100%.
have, yeah, if you're not living, haven't got a habit of living for others, then as it becomes a challenge when you get into a relationship
Well,
because
oh
your
man,
thought pattern is they're here to serve me,
it really
and
does.
it's not
And
that way. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's what another thing that we talk about through our courses, and that is understanding. Hit my microphone. Understanding the we culture versus the me culture, and
Yeah.
the we culture is what's yours is mine, what's mine is yours. But
Mm.
in the me culture is what's mine is mine, and stay out of my way,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Because and I always say to people, like, that's the circle and the square philosophy. The square is literally sharp edges and straight
Yeah.
lines, because it has to sit in a way that is repeatable, that is measurable, that's observable, it's scientific, but also
Yes.
it has to have outcomes
Yeah.
which produce economic benefit
Yeah.
for myself and my community, right? But
Yeah.
in societies that don't have that, it's a circle. There is no commerce, there is no financial flow in order to, I think, even show my relevance within the community. Because
Mm.
if I'm not educated, and I don't haven't been to uni, haven't got a
Yeah.
trade, you know what I mean? I don't have a
Yeah.
business, then I'm not really valuable. But
Yeah.
in a
Yeah. Because of
non-Western,
the marking system in that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
whereas in a non-Western world, like, me, like, I grew up with culture all around me, and
Mm.
obviously the Western
I got
world, but
adopted into some of it.
you did. Yeah, you did. But you saw it, like the
Yeah.
thing, I think, even with my grandfather naming me, like, that was all part of a
Yes.
a process of
Yeah.
accepting
Wow.
boys through
Yeah.
naming, through a name that wasn't just, oh, here's the name, I just looked it up on
Yeah. It
Google.
looks pretty. Apple.
But
No offense to
but
anyone named Apple.
no, no, that's right.
Your
But
parents
it was a
probably
name.
thought about it a lot.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a name that is associated with land, because in the culture
Yes.
of a lot of those cultures that are circular, the name comes from the land, and the
Mm.
belief is that you don't own the name owns you.
Mm.
So that's why it's very difficult for a lot of not, I wouldn't say difficult. Maybe it's just a different mentality. It's a different way of looking at ownership. It's a different way of looking at belonging. It's a different way of looking at even my place in the world. Like, to think that if I was born on the islands and I had this
Mm.
name, I would automatically know
Mm.
through that naming ceremony, through growing up with a name, it actually sends you on a path
Yes.
when you
So
get that name
it's
from the beginning. You know what I mean?
we lost in the Western world almost the authoritative direction that comes from prophetically speaking over someone,
Right.
which I think, and this is a very broad subject, and so we'll just skim across the top. I think in the shifting of our family
Yeah.
nucleus and the importance of father and mother and what they do as far as their roles. Not talking about domesticated roles. That's not what they were talking. As in their ability to speak things into. So the father and the naming thing and all that side of it was actually to speak into and over, to declare something and to give you your identity, to give you your purpose, to help solidify that, with a breakdown of fathers being in the home, and then a breakdown of the importance of fathering, the abdication of that responsibility. It leaves just basically kids that are coming through that haven't been told what they're here for. And if you,
Yeah.
like you said, if you haven't been told what you're here for, and you're trying to figure it out for yourself, but we know that kids don't mature, especially boys, until like we're 25 or something. Our brain doesn't mature.
Mm.
Um, Dear God, no wonder there's so much mishmash and so much uh, misuse of great abilities for fighting, so to speak, and fighting for something, to protect things, to go
Yeah.
after and pursue. But because there's no direction or purpose or basis with that, that desire doesn't disappear.
Yeah.
So it's going to get misused if there's no set direction. They just come with whatever's put in front of them.
Yeah.
That
Hundred
old saying,
percent.
if you don't know what you stand for, you'll fall for anything.
Yeah.
So it's
Hundred
like,
percent.
that's what we find ourselves in. That's my short summary
No,
of
no, it's good.
that.
It's a good segue into what my next question for you because
Yeah.
um and I got this off your profile. So
Oh, no.
your father told your father told you
Ah,
your name
yes.
and your word are your two most valuable assets.
Yes.
How much has that shaped the way you've lived?
Yeah. I feel like I would love to remember the exact moment that Dad said that. I feel like it was still while his dad was alive,
Yeah.
um, and it might have been while I was at school and we were talking about something. That has literally stuck with me. And yes, I have Christian beliefs and morals, and I have that basis as well. However, I know even in business, only like during COVID 5 years ago, a business dealing that we were doing didn't go to plan. I felt like what we had communicated was not what they were delivering. Um, but I'd promised our people something, and so I wore it.
Yeah.
And that was because my dad had said, it's your word and your name. Everything else can come and go. The businesses can come and go, all that stuff. But your value is that when I would hope that when I speak, and not, everyone makes mistakes, no one's perfect and whatever, but I'm continually working towards that. If Ryan says this, then
Yeah.
everything in his being is to do it. And Dad's example of that. He took over a church community that had gone basically belly up, but it was in debt back in the 80s for 150 grand or whatever. They could have easily just shut up shop, but Dad, same thing. Your name is important. Your word has to be your word. And he goes, you know what? We'll pick up the slack. We're going to push through this. And he put his shoulder to the plow, and through his business and the church people that were there, paid it off over whatever it was, the 5 years. Um, that speaks a lot, because I know in our culture, it's almost acceptable to go, that wasn't totally your fault. You can just
Mm.
wipe that and move on. However, your name, uh, it takes a long time to build something back up. Whereas
Yeah.
if I know I can call on Namarca and I know this, and this is going to happen, I'm going to do that. Whereas if I've got a second guess, I'm probably not going to engage. I'm
Yeah.
not going to call. It's like, so that's, I think, shaped a lot of what I do. I hear it echo in my head anyway. Whenever I get tempted to take an easier route,
Mm.
whenever I get tempted to maybe do something, because there's always temptation. Oh, maybe we could just grey the area a bit here.
Yeah.
Those
Yep.
things come back to me. It's like, well, either you're a man of your word or you're not. And then your name.
Yep.
How are you representing Gilbank? And I did that with our sons growing up. I'd be like, you're not. That might be acceptable for everyone else, but
Yep.
you are a Gilbank. So you represent us as a family. You represent your granddad,
Yeah.
represent my brothers, your uncles, all that sort of
Hundred
stuff. So
percent. Yeah.
I actually expect more of you because you're a Gilbank.
Mm.
Other people might be able to do this level. I'm expecting you to do this level because you're a Gilbank. So there's a name and an expectation that flowed from that throughout my whole life, I suppose.
I think from what you're saying there, like obviously a lot of things have changed within society. What's something you notice about the way reputation is being built within young people, and especially young boys, but young men today?
Yeah, I think, and there's more than two factors, but the two factors that stand out to me, one is just the breakdown of marriages,
Yeah.
and there's all manner of reason for that, and there's all manner of contribution, and there's never just one or the other that's always at fault. It's like there's a
Mm,
mixture. There's always stuff there. So that breaks down an expectation flow on from fatherhood, a lack of security, lack of affirmation, lack of all these sort of
yeah.
things, and that's in one section. People don't feel they've not seen exemplified
Yeah.
certain
Good.
levels of reputation, integrity, resilience, all that sort of, so they don't flow. And then with the invention of all of your socials, we won't individually pull them all out, but all of the socials
Yeah.
in a small microcosm, but example
Yeah.
exploded bigger. Someone that's doing well in a moment
Wow.
gets rewarded and put up as the billboard. This is what you all can be. And then
Yeah.
when you reflect and you're looking at their life, they don't have longevity. They don't have commitment. They don't have. They've never been tested. They've
Well, they don't
never.
stick to their word.
They don't stick to their word. And so
Yeah.
for young people coming through, that becomes the example. Well, that's accepted as success. So
Mm,
I don't have to keep my word if it means that I deliver. And that moral question comes, well, is it for the greater good? So I will lie about this
mm,
so that all these people get a cool message. So really, the good that I'm doing outweighs my bad. But the reality is, you're morally bankrupt. You're a shell. You're not real, if that makes sense.
yes.
So we promote a lot of people, and I'm not saying every person that's on social media is fake or hasn't been
No.
through tough
No.
times. Some have been. However, the system or the machine of social media across the board, it rewards people that are good at either making conflict, just putting stuff out there so people have to whatever, or just saying that you're doing
Yeah.
really well.
100%.
I know of people that are successful on social media, but they don't have actually anything. But they look like they do, and
Yeah.
so they sort of go, but that's how I'm making my money. So it's going to get to that point. So it's all right to lie about where I'm at, and it's like, man, I lied.
Yeah.
So I think reputation, the way you get it, uh, or the way we're sold and told that you get reputation has changed.
Yeah.
How you get a reputation has not changed. And that's through
Mm,
trial. That's through
yeah.
standing when everyone else falls. That's through staying loyal when everyone else just bails. That's through doing what's right, even if it's to your own harm, because that's the right thing to do. All of those things are how you earn reputation. However, in our Western culture, we always look for the shortcut. We want to go
Yeah.
fast food. Like if it's taking more than 5 minutes to do it, there has to be an easier way. Some stuff has not changed. It still takes 9 months to grow a baby.
Mm,
Um, you
yeah.
fast forward that, or you try and accelerate that, it can create problems.
Yeah.
The baby will come out with deformation. If it stays too, it's like,
Yeah.
so in our culture with everything that's so microwave quick, we've tried to accelerate reputation.
Yeah.
And we've said, it's like, oh, you're an overnight success. And it's like, it was 40 years in the
Yeah.
making. And all of a sudden
Yeah.
we're seeing them here. There's the process that hasn't
Yeah.
shifted, but we would like to think it has. So yeah.
Yeah. And it goes back to that whole thing around performance, measuring
Mm.
performance as well. I think that's probably one of the biggest things with social media is not, it's like the old saying, it's an inch deep, but it's a mile wide.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it looks good, but a bit of wind comes and it's gone. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that sort of when you're talking about things like reputation, you think you're talking about things like integrity,
Mm.
sincerity, you know, even just the whole notion of moral compass, having a
Yeah.
moral compass, because to me that's what everything pivots off, right? Like it's
Yeah.
you've got to have you got to have that taproot, and what's that taproot aligned to? Hey,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because
Yeah. An
otherwise
anchor
it's
point.
just
Otherwise you
an anchor
float
point.
anywhere. Yeah.
an anchor point. So I guess just talking about your work, which is, the things that you do with people and with your business is seems really natural to you, and it's your natural lane, I would say. I mean, just from observing, um, what's one thing that stands out in the way you speak to people that matter, and where do you think that comes from?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I will always come back to dad. He was really good in that. One of my best mates, Dan, that was my old boss, who is a different man to what he was. However, when I worked for him, he could get blood from a stone. He was very good at
Mm,
that,
mm,
and got his pound of flesh definitely. One of the great aspects of him, even in those seasons, was that he had grasped that every person, and it was imprinted on his heart from a young man. But he had a pretty bold exterior, but his heart was every person is significant and has a story. And it's whether they're sweeping the floor or they're running a multi-billion dollar company, they're still people.
yeah,
And so that I think it was a great lesson for me. Same thing. I was in that forming younger years where I'm like, you got to network with these people and you do this. And then I realized, wow, actually, you know what? If I talk to anyone, when I talk to them, I want to value them as a human being.
yeah,
My Christian background as a creation that God's put on this earth for a reason. So that shifts my whole focus, because we can very easily become, what's in it for me? Does this person help me in this moment? Do they have any means or sway to help me in this moment? No. Well, I'm busy. I got to move on. The example of, say, Jesus was, he was continually, there's a lot of his miracles in the scripture were while he was on the way to something, he was interrupted. And I wonder sometimes how interruptible I am.
yeah. Wow.
Like, to be able to be present in a moment, and if I'm talking to someone, to sense they might be having a great day, awesome. But if I'm talking to someone and I can sense, you know what, maybe they're not having a great day, and I can be a word of encouragement or be someone that speaks into that realm, whether it's, um, yeah, it's interesting. I examples that flood my mind is, even like, just last year we had a massive challenge with one of our major clients that was holding out payment for nearly 6 months, and
Yeah,
meeting with a group that was helping us through that. When we got to a point where we're just not talking about money, but we're talking about marriage and relationships, and one lady's got kids, and just the demand in her role, because she's a high end executive in that role, and just balancing, family life and work and that sort of stuff. And then the other guy I'm talking to has been through a divorce, and as we were talking about different stuff, he's like, that's what I was doing. And
mm,
it's like, in that moment, hopefully it'll help him in the future to not make the same mistakes. But he recognized in that moment, oh, I wasn't present. I was, and not because he's trying to, yes, no one gets into a marriage going, you know what, I'm going to be 5 years in and just blow this thing up. I'm just going to
yeah,
just make that person hate me and feel resentful. And it's going to isolate them, and just, we're going to slowly grow apart. And it's going to be, no one plans that. But if we can actually help people in that side of it, and be in that realm, I feel like that's, uh, the biggest push. We say it in our thing, and we shared it on the last podcast. You can always get another job.
yeah. True.
And I've said that to our own, like, we need diesel fitters, whatever, like these high vital electricians, supervisors, planners. So if you're out there, we need you, apply. But I've said to numerous over the years, this role is not as important as your home,
Yeah,
which costs me. But my heart is, the big picture is, they'll get another job. You can't replace that marriage. Once it's
yeah,
blown up, it's very rare that you can form that back together. Once you've blown up trust with your kids, it takes a long time to restore that if your
yeah,
kids are felt, neglected, or whatever. So it's like, you can always get another job. You don't get a second chance at that moment with your kids. And I find same thing, because there's not been the example, because there hasn't been the whatever. You don't know what you don't know. So
Yeah.
you can be thinking you're doing the right thing, but it's the wrong season for that. So
Yeah.
working away and
Definitely.
supplying for your family, that's a good thing. That's the right thing to do. If you need to do it, you should be doing it.
Yeah.
However, if your kids are at the age where they need you at home more and you haven't worked out a way of actually balancing that and you're not home when you're home, then you're doing the right thing at the wrong time. You should be home for that season because
Yeah.
there'll be a season when your kids are gone and you can work away as much as you want as long as it works within the relationship. Um, but until then, your first responsibility is them. So it's like some people have never heard that. They
Yeah.
think I'm going away to work, I'm supplying money, and that's what they need. Yeah, but why do they need it? Have you overstretched yourself? Have you been caught up in the keeping up with the Joneses and you're trying to buy
Mm,
this level house when you could actually live in this level house and you
yeah.
could have a happy family and solid kids without mental issues, without anxiety, without fears, without because you're
Yeah.
actually present? It's like we choose our heart.
Hundred
So,
percent. And I think that, and thank you for saying, like talking about that because I think that's a really important, um, one of the reasons why I'm believe in God, why you believe in God, why we follow a philosophy of faith and
mm,
even understanding things like your created purpose.
yeah.
Um, to me, what I notice about you also, Ryan, is your ability to not just to empathize with people, but to actually see them early. And I think
Mm,
I would call that situational awareness. And to me,
nice. I'll take
situational,
that.
yeah, man, take it because these are the things that I think if people watch your life, they could pick it up, but maybe not putting a finger on what it is. And I feel
Yeah.
like you have an ability to be situationally aware, and to me that gives itself the uh the possibility of allowing people to grow. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So to me, that also speaks to spiritual maturity. And in
mm,
my mind, spiritual maturity is not just about yourself.
mm.
It's actually about being in a position where when you can help other people grow. And
Yeah.
and I feel like even talking to, your points about working away from home, being a tradie, all of these types of things come back to a fundamental core component of who we are. It goes back to that anchor point you talked about,
Yeah.
the tap
Yeah.
root, which is a spiritual understanding.
Yeah.
And I heard somebody say this a long time ago, and it just helped me put it into perspective, which was it was a question. It said, Are you a human having a spiritual experience, or are you a spirit
Mm,
having a human experience?"
yeah.
So talk to me about what that means to you, and how do you position yourself in amongst all of that?
Yeah. I think personally, like I can't speak for other people in some things. I can observe in other people, but I can't speak to them
No,
at times. I think for myself, the most easy and common trap is to become a human doing.
yeah,
Uh, so we're doing this and we're doing that and it's so that we can achieve this and we're going to do this and we're
yeah,
doing and I think it was Phil Pringle said it once. It's like, like he sees on the back of people's car a sticker that says I'd rather be sailing, and he's like,
yeah,
I resonate with that. He loves sailing. For me to be like, I'd rather be riding my bike. I like riding
yeah,
my bike, that sort of stuff. And he said but it also speaks to this thing that's inside us, that we always want to be somewhere
yeah.
and we're never where we are.
Well, yeah, true.
So it's like, you know, if you're always working towards something, and when I get there, I'm gonna be this, or we're gonna have that, or we're gonna. It's good to have the goals. You need the goals. You need to do it. However, you've got to find that tension point where you're also present in the moment, because that's life.
Yeah,
The
right. Yeah.
achievement of that goal is a moment at the end of life that you've lived to that point. You get that achievement, and then that chapter is done, and you start another whole flow
Mm,
of walking out. So it's like if you're only waiting for that point to live life and to be present and to be there, you're going to miss 99% of your life. And I
man.
think that's been a huge one, to sort of go, okay, don't get caught up. and we all do. It's part of our culture and that sort of stuff to just be busy for the sake of busy. If you're in that house, well, you should go into the next house, and it's good to be have aspirations. That's the
Yeah.
word.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think trying to find your why as to why you're doing all those things helps, because what I've learned in me is any motivation that comes actually from a brokenness is not healthy long term, and will
Yeah.
mean that I will neglect things that are truly important to me to try and cover, self medicate, whatever, a hole that's there, rather than addressing the hole and finding healing. I will try and do other stuff to fill that. Um, that's been an interesting one for me, is to get to be really. I used to hate driving out west sometimes back in the day when you didn't have full mobile coverage and we didn't have music on tap that you could just record. I remember being out the back, in between Nebo and uh, Glendon, and you've got no reception for like 40 something minutes. And I was already processing a heap of stuff, but now I had no ability to call anyone, no ability to listen to music, no ability to distract. And so now I'm just stuck with my own thoughts. And they weren't, they were very confronting with my own thoughts, if that makes sense. And it was uncomfortable. It wasn't easy. It brought up stuff that I needed to address, showed me areas that I wasn't living to the level I think I should be, in my relationship with my wife or my kids. And all of this stuff, like, and I'm like wanting the drive to finish, because it's not easy to look at where you're not where you should be. However, if you're not aware of that, you can't make change. And I think our distracted lifestyle leans towards us never identifying where we've got issues and addressing. We just self medicate and soothe to try and hide where we're at instead of identifying it. And the more you can get comfortable in the uncomfortable and realize that you're not going to be perfect, that you're going to make decisions and commitments and still stuff up, and that's all right, to a degree, if you know what I mean. It's not like if you're trying to change and you trip over, you're trying to walk and you trip over, you get back up. That's cool. If you're saying you're trying to walk and you purposely keep jumping onto the ground, well, we got to address that as well. But I think most people don't try because they feel like they're going to fail again, and they don't trust themselves. And that comes back to why we do a heap of stuff in our men's side, like for me, and in our community setting, of making sure wherever I move to, I integrate myself with other people and I keep in contact with people on purpose, because I find I can't do it all by myself. And the more I build a facade that I've got to present like I'm doing it by myself, the more I fail and can't
Yeah.
do it and have to hide that I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
100%.
yeah, trying to build into that has been
Yeah.
helpful.
That's really that's some really useful insight too, because I think it sort of goes back again to your again, this is coming from your profile, like you've got a lot of you've got a lot of role models or people that obviously people that have spoken into your life. One of the people that you speak about, and I have heard you talk about before, is Zig Ziglar.
Yeah,
And he said if you help enough people get what they
so true.
want,
Yeah,
you'll get what you want. And I think that even of itself, that whole focus around focusing on people, you know what I mean? Like I think that's a really a key thing around understanding when you get into a position of leadership, you're no longer just doing your job like
mm,
you were, on the tools, for example, you were driving
mm,
or you were operating, like, and then you're working yourself to a point where you get a promotion, and then
mm,
you get that promotion, and now you're in charge no longer of just the machinery, or you're not just in charge of finishing that job.
yeah,
You're now in charge of people.
mm,
And I think it goes back to this performance thing. It's like, and also where toxic management comes from, toxic leadership, is that
yeah,
the mentality to think that you can get into a position of leadership and manage people, but not lead people, not have that situational awareness around people. Do you know what I'm trying to
Mm.
get at? I
Yeah.
think that's a really key component, and one of your catchphrases within your business is that you, the people, matter. And I've
Yeah.
never heard any business say that, because
Yeah.
that's like, no, it's people. People don't matter. Money matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a really interesting philosophy,
Yeah.
that I don't think it's common. So talk to us about what that means to you, and why did you even put that in your catchphrase?
Um, the why, I don't want to be a business that rapes and pillages
Yeah,
so that I can have a house. Um, that's never sat well with me. So understanding that every person that shows up to work is a son or a daughter, a brother or a sister, a husband or a wife, or a mum or a dad. Um, that puts a face to it. They're not just a
yeah,
number.
yeah,
So that changes the decisions we make as a business. Um, with with regard to the leadership side of it, I reckon, and I heard it only just recently in this example, so and I love it because it just sits well, because we would focus on, say, a shepherd mentality over a warrior. And I know a picture in my mind when I first heard this example, I was like, a shepherd? Like what? Some weird long beard sits out. But if I put it into context, we are, say, out in the marketplace, we can be beasts and we can be absolute weapons and go in and take the things. If someone comes against our family, we want to take them out, take their heads off, tear them out. If a lion comes or a bear, I'm going to go after it. And if they take one of my kids or one of my try and damage one of my workers or whatever, I'm going to go after them and I'm going to tear their mouth open, take them back and bring them home. That sort of stuff. But a shepherd then also, which is what a shepherd does, it defends and goes after. A shepherd is all about the sheep. So that as a leader, it's about what's best for the sheep. So moving pasture, they're homeless basically for the sake of the sheep. So
yeah,
there's this whole sacrificial leadership, and they go out and they're these amazing conquerors and warriors. However, when they come back to the sheep, they're the one that if it's got a broken leg, they put it on its shoulder and
mm,
carry it around. When the mother is giving birth to you, is giving birth to a little lamb, they're there to help catch the lamb and make sure that it suckles and gets nutrients. That when it's that time of the season for the flies, they're getting oil and they're rubbing it on their eyes and around the ears of the sheep to stop them seeing, getting stuff in their eyes and polluting, stop flies laying eggs in their thing and literally worms getting into their brain. So they're covering all that sort of stuff. That's actually huge as a leader to think like that and go that. And then the other side is, if you look at the first murder in the history of the world, which is with Cain and Abel, and it's like in the story, for those that aren't aware of it, God comes down and basically the guy that killed his brother comes to him and goes, "Hey, where's your brother?" Knowing that he killed his own brother, but he's giving him an opportunity to repent. And the the essence or the focus or the verbal outpouring of the heart of a murderer is, am I my brother's keeper?
yeah,
And I
yeah,
feel like that's a
wow,
reflection of selfishness, of like, everyone else's problem is nothing. It's like we talked about with at the start, this flow on of our Western culture is all about me.
yeah,
So I don't have to worry about what they're doing. It's not my responsibility to help there. It's not my responsibility. Whereas the true leader is their brother's keeper.
yeah,
Notices in their community when something like what you do, notices and goes, I'm going to put my career on hold. I'm going to step into something
mm,
because I see a need. And so I'm
mm,
going to step into that role because I am my brother's keeper. My
yeah,
my 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 family, my brothers, my mates, I notice when they're not doing well because I am my brother's keeper. I
yeah,
notice when they're struggling. I notice when there's a bit of angst between them and their spouse, and I notice when they're not getting on with their kids. I because I am my brother's keeper and I want them to succeed. Instead of just going, it's not my problem. I can't speak into that. Jimmy and his wife, whatever, they're having trouble with their kids. That's not my responsibility. I've got enough on my plate. It
yeah,
usually comes from a selfish flow.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that. I want
No,
I want to be the one that's actually bringing solutions and sees that sort of stuff.
yeah, 100%. That servant leadership too, I think, is probably one of the most misunderstood, you know, I guess, understanding of leadership as well. When you look at, why would you do something like that that is like serving other people, not actually helping you make money, helping you run the business? It's a really interesting thing, when you look across history and you look at some of the most successful, positive leaders,
Yeah.
not the ones that murdered half the world, but the positive leaders,
Yeah.
like they were servant leaders, and
Yeah.
regardless of their background, like I think I talked a bit about culture before, but I think it's even just more than culture. It's actually human design. The way that we were created
Mm.
was to serve each other,
Yeah.
was actually, and that to me in essence is the whole point of being a caretaker, of being
Yeah.
someone who's given authority over a house. For example, if I have my
Yes.
house, then I'm
Yeah.
not just ruling it, I'm actually taking care of it. It's a
Yeah.
different mindset shift.
We've deformed the picture of through bad examples, somewhat, but
Yep.
also through the same thing, that selfish rebellion. I don't want to be told what to do. I don't serve anyone else but me. Blah blah blah. We've deformed the power of servanthood, and servanthood isn't a doormat.
Mm,
Like servanthood isn't giving everyone else what they want, and you're serving. Sometimes is if you're the leader, making decisions on behalf of other people that are for their benefit, even if they don't like it. Um, so that's hard because we go, oh, you're supposed to serve us, and you're supposed to, yeah, okay. But if I'm making a tough decision that benefits you, and you're not going to make that decision for yourself, I have to make that decision.
yeah.
That's why we have restrictions or timeframes at work, or we have KPIs and that sort of stuff. Is because a true leader, and I've done that wrong in the past, just wanted to be the nice guy and not set KPIs, not set expectation, not set. It
Yeah.
actually made it worse for the employees because they had nothing, no boundaries, so it wasn't actually serving them. By
Yeah.
giving them set things to go for, they know what a win is. They know what's wrong. Otherwise, they don't know what's wrong or right, and they just.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's a different realm.
Yeah. And I think that's with you and I can see how our fathers, and grandfathers had such a huge influence in us as men
Mm.
today, you know, heading towards our half a century,
Whew,
like the
whew.
the way that the way that we've been
You're
shaped,
closer to that than me. I just want to point that out.
just by a couple of months, not many.
Couple of months, you win by a quarter mile or you win by
Yeah,
a meter. It's still a win.
yeah, exactly. When you were younger, you wanted to be older, but when you're older, you want to be
Oh,
younger. So,
yeah, yeah.
but I think it just really speaks to that fatherhood thing. Like I don't know,
Mm,
man. Like I feel like even okay. Here's one for you. Say the word patriarchy,
yeah,
right? Get your eyes
yeah,
scratched out, man, because
yeah.
because patriarchy is the last thing that you want to be involved with, let alone talk about. As men, um,
In this
you know,
current, yeah,
when I talk about your father, your
yeah,
grandfather, or when I talk about my father, my grandfather,
yeah,
like the word patriarchy, literally, its original focus was fatherhood.
yeah,
But today, it's like you said, like the abuses of
yeah.
fatherhood has actually now defined what that word means. And abuse meaning abnormal use,
Yes, yeah.
abuse. You're abusing the role of fatherhood. And now
Mm,
the stereotype is that patriarchy is only ever toxic.
mm,
However, in within culture, especially island culture, patriarchy is actually about carrying weight, about
mhm.
carrying
Responsibility.
responsibility, and actually, when things go wrong, patriarchy, you're the one to blame,
Mm,
and that's actually not a bad thing because that's the role of a patriarch is
yeah,
a leader is
yeah. The
you
buck
don't
stops
blame.
with you.
Yeah, if things are
Mm,
going wrong, it's like, oh, it's your fault. Sure, you're the leader.
mm, yeah,
Like, where are you leading us?
yeah.
And
So
again,
good.
this management thing, bro. Like people saying, I want to manage you like a thing, something that I can actually push around.
Yeah.
I'm like chess pieces.
Yeah.
That's the exact opposite of what servant leadership is. It's
Mm,
actually, you're blazing the trail. What
mm,
you're doing with your business, you're blazing a trail. You're actually
mm.
showing, this is the work we're doing. Yes, it's mining. Yes, it's not easy. Yes, it's whatever. But actually, there is a way to do it, and there is a way to actually show people that this type of work can actually help our community, and
Yeah.
it's not just what I'm doing. It's actually who I am and
Yeah.
who and how I value people through that
Yeah.
leadership. So I guess I just wanted to go through the next thing around, um, and I sort of alluded to it before, it was just around leadership and faith.
Mm.
Um, this is probably where the conversation's gonna separate from just generic business content.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of people talk, Ryan, about leadership, but
Yes.
fewer people talk about how faith is tied to it
Yeah.
and how faith has actually shaped you lead. Um, I guess what does faith give you that mindset what that mindset can't give you?
I think true faith. So when we talk about faith, I think even that gets diluted because people go, "Oh, it's just about
Yeah,
having a belief structure and a set of rules that you follow and good morals that are already written out for you." And yes, that's I suppose part of it. Um, True faith is a relationship with Jesus, which does this thing in me anyway. Is the biggest thing is I know whose I am,
yep,
which means I now have a greater understanding of who I am. And so from that, that's the biggest shift, I suppose, because I feel like God will identify, and that may sound weird to some people, but it's like I feel like He will start to, for me, it's like He puts a finger on a broken area and goes, "Hey, you need to heal this." And I don't know if I want to do that right now. That's not in my.
yeah,
It hurts to address that. It hurts to touch into that. However, He's doing that because He's going when it's like we just talked about with all of the patriarch issues. Most of the patriarch issues are because males made poor decisions.
yes,
They weren't held accountable for it. There was no reconciliation. And so
mm,
now women and sons and daughters that were broken by poor patriarch examples are now growing and they're trying to protect others from the hurt that they experienced.
yeah, yeah,
Until they're healed, it'll be impossible for them to move forward in their life. Impossible for them to have
yeah,
a healthy relationship in that realm.
yeah,
Impossible as a broken son or a broken daughter to love as well as you would love to love if you're still broken, because all brokenness leads to fear and fear leads to protection, which means you're not fully loving.
mm,
That's why the Bible says He hasn't given you a spirit of fear,
yeah,
which is controlling, restrictive, makes you not want to step out. He's
yeah,
giving you a spirit of love. Perfect love drives out, casts out, pushes out all fear because there's no doubt in love. Like if I love someone, I treat them as though they're not going to hurt me.
mm,
So I'm fully open, fully exposed in the hope that they won't hurt me.
yeah,
That's love.
yeah,
It's not, I'm going to love you, but I'm making sure I don't give you all of my heart, because if you break my heart like my dad or mum did, or like this, my past partner did, I'm not actually fully expressing love. So I can't receive it because I'm already blocked up. And then it's like a
yeah,
sound mind enables you to think through, process stuff, do things, and recognize, hey, hang on, this is a poor thought pattern. When I withhold, say, and a prime example for me, dad's getting older. If I withhold affection to him because my head goes, dad could die one day, because I'm getting to that realization, and I withhold to protect myself from, if he dies, I need to be able to function. I'm robbing him and I of
yeah,
true love. That's
yeah,
me withholding love. I'm
Yeah.
not receiving love. It's like all these. So a sound mind will identify that and go, hang on a second, this is not right. I need to fix this. I need to
Yeah.
take steps to make myself vulnerable, and then the power to overdo it. So it's just love, power, and a sound mind. The power to walk it out. It's not on our own strength. In and of
Yeah.
my own strength, I would fail continually.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I go, okay,
100%.
God, I need help here because it does potentially hurt. It does. How will I function if I lose a loved one? How will I function if they take advantage of me? How will I function if they reject me? How will I function if they criticize me? All of these things are valid fears. However, to love someone and to be loved, you have to cast those fears out. And that's what
Man.
I found that faith has changed in my world
Yeah.
is trying to go, okay, God, heal this.
Yeah.
And the more this gets healed, the more I'm able to have an open hand and an open heart.
Yeah. And that's so good, Ryan, because I think that even with the behavioral change work that I've been doing in the community, like it's as a practitioner, like I know that with men, especially with Indigenous men too, because
Mm.
with Indigenous cultures, they're already sort of have a spiritual
Yes.
understanding, right? But the Alcoholics Anonymous, like rehab, like a lot of places have known for decades that one of the biggest factors to behavioral change is a spiritual encounter with God.
Isn't it amazing?
And
Yeah.
and it's interesting in that because when it's a spiritual experience, what it does, it actually helps it's not just your own perception, it actually gives you a perspective that number one, you're not the center of the universe.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of fatherhood. I know I heard it from my dad and my and I even heard it from
Yeah.
your father.
Yeah.
Just like as young blokes, it's like the world doesn't revolve around you blokes. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like you're here to serve other people,
Yeah.
and going back to your point about, abuses of that. But I just want to speak a little bit to the polarization of the political world at the moment
Mm.
and people's understanding of even challenging the Bible nowadays,
Yeah.
even challenging faith in God, and that it's all been a big conspiracy and whatever else goes with that.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I would have to say, and I would tend towards more understanding that faith in God is experiential, that
Mm.
it's not something that I just it's not a textbook thing I read.
Yeah.
It's actually the Bible is a book. It has pages,
Mm.
but it's actually who wrote the book that we're
Mm.
connecting to. And I feel like for me, there's so many trails. I'm thinking my brain is just racing at the moment. There's so many things that I could race down, but I think really I want to go back to the business side of this and just switch it back to um, operationally. You as a leader, you as a manager, or you as someone who has oversight of people, um, and especially when you're working with people that are not, it's not just an individual, it's a team.
Mm.
What would you say in your mind, having your background, understanding what you understand? What do you think actually makes a team healthy?
Um, I think it's just that human need to be seen, so validated, uh, and
Mm.
not validated as in, oh, you did good job. Anyone can say that.
Yes.
Um, I think of our current team now, and then even as you were talking, I'm thinking through past team members out in the field and in the office that some ended well with us, some didn't end well with us, and yet it's amazing how my my heart is always continually, sometimes to my own detriment, but again, you don't want to ever become so protective that you tar everyone with the same brush.
Yeah.
And I also believe too, different seasons, different things surface in people. So it's like I think when it comes to dealing with people, they need to be seen, valued. Like that, I know Namarca. Uh,
Yeah.
I like him. What
Yep.
he brings is big. And then within our business, we have stuff that we want to do within like compassion, great charity to get a hold
Yep.
of, different local community stuff. And there's different seasons for what you can and can't do with fluctuations of income and that sort of thing. However, my team hopefully capture that it's not just for their paycheck, which is important and they should get paid. That's part of their validation, is like they're giving time. This is the reward for your time, and we remunerate well. However, outside of that, you're not just working to make Monday to Friday. You know, we said it in the last podcast. You're not just there to dig holes.
Yes.
Uh, with what we're doing as a business, we've been able to do X amount for not for profits. We've been able to do X amount for these kids overseas. We've been able to do this for this local community. We've even been able to do for individuals that, as needs arisen, been able to give into their world as needed. I think those two, like a bigger purpose than just you, is helpful. If
Yep.
you're only ever looking at what you need and what you've got, it's a very small bubble.
Yeah. And
If you
that
if I can help them see something bigger, they step out bigger.
yeah. That to me just goes back to that original piece right at the start of this conversation, was around performance versus trust. And I feel
Mm,
like that's really what you're cultivating, is an environment of trust. But that environment of trust doesn't just exist by itself. It has to sit within a culture, and an embedded
mm,
culture. And I feel like the culture of your workplace, the culture of the environment you create as a leader, you're in charge of that thing. You know, it's like,
mm.
you
Peace.
plant a tree, you're in charge of that thing. And I think, like, culture just means way. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's and I talk about culture, and people say, oh, you're talking about dancing and painting your face. I'm
Yes.
like,
Yeah. No. No.
I'm no, I'm talking about culture is how you treat others.
Yes.
Culture is about how you value, your
Or
environment
how
and the
you do
people that are in
anything.
it, how you do
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
How you do something is how you do everything. So it's like that's your culture.
yeah.
Are you shrewd and selfish and contemptful in this area? Well, my expectation is you're going to be shrewd and contentful and whatever in that area. Whereas if I can help you be generous in a small area, it's funny how that lights a fire and you start to be generous in another area.
Yeah,
Um,
100%. I guess
Changes the
I
culture.
guess I guess that really makes me ask the question, what advice would you give to not young, but anybody who's entering the sphere of leadership, the sphere of management? Um, what advice would you give them around building that trust and cultivating that culture?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the biggest one, which I believe has been the biggest contributor to success in Jenny and my's marriage,
Yeah.
in business and everything, was to actually look in the mirror, find where I'm broken, and purposely
Mm,
seek out help.
yeah.
Because your motivations determine the outcome. And so if you're in leadership to prove to someone because you had poor examples over you, and we're always striving for acceptance or striving to not be rejected or striving to not be criticized, and your whole drive is to prove them wrong or to show that you can be perfect or to show that you are going to burn out because it's actually
Mm,
coming from a fear.
yeah.
And we're all human. Most of what we do is the avoidance of our greatest fears. That's what we're mostly motivated for.
Yeah.
If you're not aware of that, though, fear will cripple you and it will lock you in a cage, and you will never find satisfaction. You'll lead, and you'll be the top of the biggest companies in the world, and still not enough.
Yeah.
Still, because you haven't fixed this. Whereas if you can
Mm,
fix that as a young leader, you'll lead better. You will not misinterpret people's behavior as insurrection or dishonor or whatever. Like, you won't misinterpret situations out of your insecurity that they're challenging you or they're, no, I'm gonna. It's like, if you're secure, the more secure you are, the more you can take feedback, the more you can mold people towards where you want them to go rather than beat them to where you want
yeah.
them to go. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my thought pattern. Fix
Uh,
you.
yeah. And
And
I
there's
think
plenty of places to do it.
well, I think even like, yeah, and I want to go back to what we spoke about before, like around that being a young guy, young person that is 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 very knowledgeable but has no experience. You know what I mean, on what
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
talking about. But without going down that rabbit trail, and also I want to touch on something too that I was thinking of before, was around um being a sportsman, like you were you were a great footballer,
One of the
and
best.
like yeah, one
Could
of the
have been the
best. But
greatest.
yeah, if I wasn't injured and it was other people's
Oh,
fault,
yeah.
but I know even in your position, like would
Yeah.
you used to play 5'8", didn't you, or was it?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And
5'8". Yeah.
even in that role, like that ability to be able to read the game, but also create opportunity not just for yourself,
Yeah.
like, and I'm thinking about that in a football sense, but
Yes.
how much those sorts of how important sports are for
Yeah.
people in our society, like especially
Oh,
young guys to
huge.
go, like this, and you keep coming back to it throughout this whole conversation. I feel like there's overtones of this coming through is that um what I keep hearing you talk about in my mind is you don't know everything, and you need to know that you need the healing. And I feel
Yeah.
like that also is something that I've had to work with men with
Yeah.
around saying because I'm a guy, or it's embarrassing to say I need help, or
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
embarrassing or to go to this therapy because I'm a tree hugger or whatever. It's like,
Mm.
no, actually the first step to healing is admitting you're wrong. It's admitting
Yeah.
you need help. It's
Yeah.
admitting
There's a
you're
brokenness.
broken.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
to me, I
Yeah.
feel
Well, we,
like,
we protect ourselves. Oh, no, no, I'm all right. Dad left when I was 6. But you know what? Mum looked after me and I'm fine and blah, blah, blah. Bull crap you are.
mm,
You're full of it.
yeah,
You might be coping. You're not well.
yeah,
Anyone that has walked through that has brokenness. And to tell
100%.
yourself you haven't is you're lying to yourself to try and protect yourself from maybe not being able to get up tomorrow real easy because you're
Yeah,
trying to say I can push on. I'm going to prove to dad that even though he left me, I'm. It's like so. It's if you won't admit that, it just shows our immaturity in that
mm,
scenario. It just
yeah,
shows our insecurity in that scenario. So it actually shines brighter. You might think you're showing this bold bravado. You're actually highlighting how broken and how in need you are of help.
yeah.
And a good friend will call that out on you.
Well, a family will, right? Like, and I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things I probably wanted to go into now is talking about family, talking about legacy. You know, those all of this of what we're talking about today is really fundamental stuff. It's like you and I when we talk, we
Well,
don't just go, we're
it's
not just
fundamental
shallow.
for
We
us.
go, we want to
Yeah.
go deep. Like,
Yeah.
but for a lot of
Well,
people, like
it's
you said,
hard. No, I was going to say
yeah,
some people don't know,
no,
and you don't know what you don't know.
mm,
So it's like what trying to get yourself around key people, putting yourself in uncomfortable scenarios where you might have to be a bit more vulnerable.
yeah,
Um, we talk about men's shed for old guys. Men's shed for young guys is huge.
it
Uh,
is, yeah,
I go to a fair few men's like launch pads and different things where they do resets. And one of the biggest things there is they start off with what are two things that you thought you were going to take to the grave that you've never told anyone?
mm,
And guys have to stand up in front of 80, 90 other men and
yeah,
begin
yeah,
to speak. I did this when I was a teenager and I'm embarrassed. I made this mistake. I my whatever hurt left and it's left this and I never they confess it. But it's amazing how once you confess something and other guys go, yeah, me too. Yeah, I
yeah,
struggle with lust. Yeah,
yeah,
I struggle with this. Yeah, I struggle with the temptation to do that. Yep, I get angry. Yep, I've wanted to commit suicide. Yep, I've wanted to, and they're like, oh, I thought it was just me. I
yeah,
thought everyone else was doing fine, and
yeah.
I'm the
Wow,
only broken one. There
mm,
is so much healing that occurs in confessing something out loud to a brother or to trusted friends, to
yeah.
go, this is where I'm at.
Yeah, and that's in essence, Ryan. That is in essence the whole point of what we've done with men's camps from a
Mm,
cultural perspective, because
yeah.
it's a what you're talking about is what I'm talking about, which is a we culture,
Mm,
not a me culture. In saying that these problems are my problems, but I'm sharing them with you because you're going to share yours with me, and we're going to carry this together and actually work
yeah.
out ways through this. And I
Yeah.
know, like I said, there are always haters. We're always going to have people saying, "You guys are full of it. You don't know what you're talking about." But I can tell you, man, I've worked with some of the most violent men in my community,
Mm,
some of the most suicidal men in my community, some of the
yeah. Wow.
most addicted men in this community, bro. Like,
Yeah.
and they all have different needs. But it's to me, it all starts with an understanding that you belong to the community. You belong to this
Yeah.
community, and it
Yeah.
goes back to this team thing we were talking about this environment, this
You're
culture
needed.
of
You're validated.
well, this culture
Yeah.
of belonging. You know,
Yeah.
you are part of me, and I'm a part of
Mm.
you. Like that is a very weird thing for a bloke to say, especially when
Yeah.
you're supposed to be this bravado of
Independent. Yeah.
independence and strength and resilience. And man,
We have the superhero mentality. I am my
super,
brother's
yeah,
keeper. So
yeah.
I'm gonna, whenever I see Namarca, yeah, I'm my brother's keeper. The reverse of that is you have to let others be your keeper.
Mm. That's not easy, man. That is not
No.
easy, especially especially if
So,
I've spent so long helping other people. It's like, no, I'm the one who
yeah.
helps you. You don't help
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. You
And
don't
then
have.
when somebody goes, "No, I'm
I
here to
can't
help
share
you," I'm
where
like,
I'm failing. Yeah, you
man,
won't.
my
Yeah,
heart's gonna break.
yeah.
Because then you go, actually, you know what? This is good for me because
Mm,
again, I feel like and it's like again to go back touching on the faith thing again is that we never stop being disciples. We never stop
mm. Nah, that's
being
right. That's the
men.
word.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we never stop being men in need. We are all
yeah.
constantly in need, and it's about how to like. Years ago, I had an elder who came along and we were introducing him. We're sitting in our circle, and he introduced himself. And I said, oh, "Well, this is the elder," and he goes, "Oh, I'm not an elder because I'm better than you. I've just been around longer enough to make more mistakes. I
That's
know what
right.
works and what
Yeah,
doesn't work." And I went, "Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
exactly." So this
yeah,
this elder, we call him an elder. We elevate him,
yeah.
but the only reason why he's an elder is because he was like you at one
That
point.
and I think that's like we talked about with the social media. The problem with that is it presents as though you've made it. And in
Mm,
reality, the most powerful message I can give any man, because if I only ever show you my highlight reel, you'll feel despondent, you'll feel broken, you'll feel like my life sucks. Look at this. He's always this, and him and his wife are always happy, and da da da. No, we've had some amazing, amazing disagreements and fights. We've had moments where it's just like, why is this worth it? Is it wasn't, it's like so if you only see the highlight reel, even with people that you're being their brother's keeper, if they're only seeing the highlight reel and they don't realize, oh, actually Ryan is just like me. He goes out from here and he has to make sure I need to make good decisions for my
yeah,
marriage moving out into this era. I get tempted to do this, and this with finance instead of whatever. He has to make a decision there. But he has self-doubt. He has fears of this. He has whatever brokenness. And yet he still gets up. He
yeah,
still shows up. That's the difference. Most of life is just getting back up tomorrow and trying again.
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
in your
one hundred
marriage, you're having
percent.
a crap week and it's terrible. It's been a crap month, crap year. Get back up, love again. You're going to work and you lost your job and you can't do it. You put out all these resumes and everything's going. It's like, cool. Get
Yeah,
back up, try again. It's amazing. If you just get up enough times, you find yourself standing. It's
yeah,
weird.
yeah, yeah. No, it's true. It's so true.
Yeah.
Uh, Um, I'm gonna. I've got some final questions. I didn't want to make it so formal, but I
No,
think
it's
we're
good.
doing good
Otherwise,
so far.
I go off
We,
on
will-
tangents. So,
so do I. So just going back to this whole family thing and legacy. Look, man, legacy. That's another word. It's like I saw
which means
Mike
a lot as
Tyson.
we get older. I feel like
Yeah,
it's resonating with me now. I never even heard of the word 10 years ago.
no, neither
So,
did I. I mean, I saw a clip of a young girl was interviewing Mike Tyson, and he said, she goes, what would your legacy? What do you want your legacy to be?" He's like, he said something like, "Who gives a crap about legacy? Nobody cares about you.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
die anyway. Nobody's gonna remember you. It's like just live your life and do what you're good at right now." And it's like, it is a thing. I think we focus too much on the destination and not the
yeah,
journey that got us there, when the
yeah,
journey is actually the most important part. You know
yeah.
what I mean? So, in your mind, thinking about journey, what matters to you most now, more than it did 10 years ago?
Oh, I think that's the easy one. I I am more focused now on I want my number one, I want my wife to be happy with me, that she feels loved, she feels valued, she feels seen,
Yeah,
she
good.
feels celebrated. Um, That's number one. The second one is that my two sons and now my daughter-in-law, that I honor them by loving their mum well,
Yeah.
that they see that you can get through life and stay with one person. And if you
Yeah.
haven't to this point, you can move forward, stay with
Yeah.
the next one forever.
That's good.
It's like
Yeah.
there's this, that's a big focus on that side of it. And then broader, with my parents, I want them to be proud of me, with my brothers, all that sort of stuff. And then with what we're doing within men's, we'll call it work or ministry. My heart is to impart as much as I can of that thought pattern into
Mm.
men that are just doing life. They're trying to be a good dad. They're trying to be a good husband. They're trying to be a good son or brother. And I can't speak into women like that's,
No.
I can offer things, but I don't live in their world.
No. Yep.
But it's like for men, I believe that there is a generation coming where they are their brother's keeper, where they are fathers that are worthy of honor, that they are husbands that are worthy of honor, that they're integrous, that they lay their life down, they lead well, they cover well and
Yeah.
protect well, and they're there to help and bring the best out of their wife, to bring the best out of their kids, to bring the best out of their community. That's their whole role. And I feel like that if that legacy, like, and I'm seeing glimpses of it as you get older with stuff that we've had the privilege of being a part of in here in Australia and in America and now in Germany, with different things that are flowing, just only a fingerprint, nothing. I haven't been like a major part, but fingerprint in influence on certain men's stuff that's happening around the world. And I'm
Yeah.
like, man, this could be this means that if I change one guy's life so that he
Yeah.
can be a better husband and father, then that will have a flow-on effect to his kids. And if they
Mm.
flow into that and they're with their spouse and whatever, and that flows into thing within a very short period of time, it's like the odd thing. And I know, like you said, some people don't like it, whatever. However, statistically, if they just go and look at statistics, not feelings,
Yeah.
just go
Yeah.
statistics.
Yeah.
If you
100.
fix the man,
Yeah.
you'll fix the marriage. If you
Yeah.
fix the marriage, you fix most of the issues for men and women because you fix the kids. If the man's whole, the marriage is whole, the kids are whole. If you
Yeah.
fix the kids, the community gets fixed.
Yeah.
And yet we try and do it the other way. We try and fix the community where we've still got a heap of broken men that are immature, don't know how to take responsibility, that run from it, that won't step up and defend things. It's all about them and they're selfish. And we wonder why this part
Mm.
here is still broken. Well, until you fix this,
Yeah.
it doesn't work. It
Yeah.
just it just
100%.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
Society doesn't
Exactly.
work well unless men are healthy. And while we're still the biggest in the jails, while we're still the biggest for suicide, while we're still the biggest, there's a brokenness there that needs to be addressed. And it
Yeah.
takes men to just go, I'm gonna admit that I need help. I'm
Yeah.
gonna
That's
step
good.
in. I'm gonna be
That's
vulnerable. I'm gonna walk it out. That's
yeah.
that's the legacy I would like. It's a long-winded
Yeah.
answer, but
No. No. It's a good answer,
change.
man. It's
Yeah.
well. It's exactly the answer that I think we all need because
Mm.
you and I, like on the regional council as a councillor,
Mm.
and I feel like, people say to me, like, how did you get on there? I'm like, it was not me. I guarantee you.
That's
It
right.
was like, it was the people who went before me. It was the
Yeah,
people I
wow.
had around my life. It was God, number one. Like my faith
Mm.
in God, I feel like that's such a pivotal thing to me. And I
Yeah,
feel like, it's not to others and that's fair enough. But like for me, I feel like that's been the core foundation of how I've been able to be resilient.
yeah,
Amongst racism, people say racism didn't exist. It did exist, man. I got my license. I was pulled up every other weekend because I was driving a clapped out car and I looked the way I did.
the big
Um,
Val.
yeah, man. And I was just like, but just things like that. I feel like, yeah, we have issues like racism. We have issues like, the politics that go with all of that stuff these days. And I feel like for me, one of
Yeah,
the things that helps separate me from my identifying with that as if I'm a victim to it
yeah,
is actually identifying that I'm first and foremost, I'm created in the image of God.
yeah. Powerful.
That changes everything, bro, because
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
if I was to and I've said this so many times before, if we were to judge each other by our outward appearance, we would always be
Yeah.
different. If we were to judge each other
Mm,
by our intellect, we would always be different. By our
mm.
desires, by our drives, our even our emotions, like we would always be different. But the only
Yeah.
thing that I feel and I know I've seen with men of cultural and backgrounds, or even just Australian blokes,
Yeah.
non-Indigenous blokes, the one thing that I can actually connect with them with is having a spiritual understanding, because it supersedes
Yes.
everything in life, man. Like
Yeah.
I'm I'm just giving you a golden egg here, but you already know it, because there's a lot of people out there who I feel don't see the relevance of a spiritual mindset. Understanding creation is important because that's the starting point, but
Yeah.
talking to all the things that you talk about with legacy and the way that you operate your life today, I know, and as you know about me, we got to where we are today because of the men that went before us
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
paved the way. Would you say?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
agree. It's there's pivotal key men that I can go, this is what set the example in that area for me, in
yeah,
that area for me, in this area. And I remember doing a podcast probably 3 years ago, and the guy that was doing the thing goes, I just want to point out, you talk about your dad a lot. And since then, it's actually sat in my head. I'm like, yeah. And then it did create a thought pattern for a lot of what I feel like a lot of men go through. Like, they don't have that. And so where are they finding their compass? Where are they finding, you know, their example? And I understand a bit more as to why they're in a position they're in, where they're
yeah,
striving for acceptance, they're striving for purpose, they're striving. And that's where, like you said, relationship with Jesus. My dad's great. However, my true identity comes
yeah,
from my relationship with him.
yeah,
And so it's like, even for that broken person, the hope that's there for them and the answer that's there for them is that as they accept the love of Christ and they come back into relationship with their heavenly Father, that shifts everything.
mm,
Because all of a sudden you got a book that expresses his love, his affirmation of you, his purpose for you, his everything is there. Everything that you were longing for that you never got from dad or from your parents is right there speaking straight to you. And so it's
so
a
amazing,
powerful life shift. Yeah.
so amazing, man.
Mm.
And I can keep talking to you about this all day, but I know the time's gotten on for us.
Yeah, I have another
But
meeting that I'm meant to jump into, but I was
yeah,
like, this is
me
too good.
too. But thanks for jumping on today, and
No,
we'll
pleasure.
do it again. It's been a while, but
Yeah.
definitely we'll do it again and just keep encouraging. Thanks for sharing all your insight around leadership and family and everything else. It's awesome,
Can I
bro.
say
Thank you
too,
very
thank
much.
you for stepping out and putting your feet on the water, so to speak, in an uncertain realm, uncertain things. Like you said, there's always hate, there's always something that's going to push back on,
Yeah,
but it takes men with a backbone
yeah,
to step up and stand in the gap for others where
yeah,
others haven't got a voice. And so I appreciate it because
yeah,
by your actions, it releases a heap of other people.
yeah. Same
And
here,
even for
man.
myself, calls me
Yeah,
to step into higher
yeah,
levels as well that I may not have stepped
yeah.
automatically. So
So
it's
good,
good.
man. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, brother. Thanks,
All
eh?
right. Be blessed.
All right.
Much love.
All right. See you later.
So.